David Shaw here with another off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., come visit my site, offtherecordtours.com. Let's go. Everyone knows where the president lives. The White House has been the home of every president since John Adams. But where does the vice president live? So where do vice presidents live? Well, historically in their own homes. Harry Truman lived in this apartment building in the Forest Hills neighborhood of Washington on Connecticut Avenue. He lived here while he was vice president and senator. He spent $120 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that he shared with his wife Bess and daughter Margaret, who was a student at George Washington University. Richard Nixon lived in this house in the Wesley Heights neighborhood of Washington. When Lyndon Johnson became vice president, he bought this huge mansion in the Spring Valley neighborhood of Washington, D.C. His wife Lady Bird was the one with the money. Historically, the office of vice president was rather unimportant. In fact, Texan John Nance Gardner, known as Cactus Jack, who gave up being Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vice president, said the office wasn't worth a pitcher of warm spit. Most vice presidents were selected with an eye towards winning the election, and their role was limited to presiding over the Senate and ceremonial functions, and therefore protecting them wasn't a high priority. But two things changed this. The first is the assassination of President Kennedy, which elevates Lyndon Johnson to the White House. And the second, starting with Jimmy Carter's selection of Walter Mondale, was choosing someone who would be a good governing partner. All of a sudden, the vice presidency became important, and so did protecting the vice president. Previously, the Secret Service would secure the vice president's existing home. But this became so expensive that in 1974, Congress passed a law creating an official residence for vice presidents. And this couldn't have happened soon enough, because in the 1970s, we were going through a lot of vice presidents. So the government went looking for a new home for its vice presidents, and they selected this house on the grounds of the Naval Observatory on Embassy Row in Washington. It's a little difficult to see right now because of all the pre-inauguration fencing that's been put up around it, but it is a rather attractive location, and one of the things that makes it attractive is the very creative use of landscaping as a way to provide security and privacy, and that's not always the case in Washington. The house was constructed in 1893 to be the home of the observatory's superintendent. But the chief of naval operations liked the house so much that in 1924 he kicked the superintendent out, and the house became the official residence of CNOs until the first vice president arrived in 1974. The house, known by its address, 1 Observatory Circle, is made out of red brick in the Queen Anne style. When red brick fell out of fashion, it was painted white. The house is about 9,000 square feet. The first floor has a reception hall, dining and living rooms, sitting rooms, and a wonderful wraparound veranda. On the second floor are 2 bedrooms, with 4 small bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Here, Vice President Mondale is cooking a Thanksgiving turkey in the basement kitchen. The house has undergone numerous renovations based on the needs of its new residents. Most renovations are made possible through private donations. Vice President Quayle added the swimming pool, leading then Vice President Biden to call Quayle his favored vice president. Vice President Harris and Mr. Emhoff will no doubt leave their mark on the house also. Unfortunately, the house is not open for public tours. And at the entrance, you can see the official time of the United States. That's based on the master atomic clocks that are operated by the observatory staff. The Vice President's house is one of many fascinating sights along Embassy Row, Washington's most elegant thoroughfare, and it's part of my Divinity and Diplomats tour. So make sure you stop by here. Check your watch against the official clock and get a glimpse of the official home of the Vice President. Well, I hope you enjoyed that off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., things seen and unseen. Arrange your tour of your nation's capital at offtherecordtours.com. Until then, I'm David Shaw. Did you hear about the one of the mother with the two children? One joined the Navy and went to sea, and the other was vice president. Neither were heard from again. This is what the... Okay.